Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome you guys once again to day 2 of the Agribusiness Incubator's pre-incubation process, focusing on the ideation process of your agricultural fisheries and also processing businesses. So last class we spoke a little bit about the Model C canvas. Today we're going to dive a little bit more into the Model C canvas and talk a little bit more about the theory of change. But before we even get to that, let's do some housekeeping tips. So, one of the things that we have discussed before in the previous class is being able to have access to the Telegram group. The Telegram group gives you all of the information that you need to be able to keep up to date with this class. So that's the information of class times, maybe even material we may have shared in the class that you may want to have access to. Also, links to the Google Classroom as well. All of these things can be accessed through the Telegram group. So once again, you want to be able to click on the link in the chat so that you can access the Telegram group. Also, while we're here on YouTube, let's go up to the top to the right hand side, or I think it's at the bottom of your video, and click subscribe. You want to subscribe to the Agribusiness Incubators channel so that anytime we have classes, it can pop up on your feed, and then you can also stay tuned with us. And just a reminder, or for the new persons who are here today, our classes happen at every Monday and Wednesday at 6 p.m. So you could log on to our YouTube stream and catch all of our amazing classes. And as you can see on the screen, we have our classes from day 1 all the way until day 10, ending in February 23rd. At the end of this process, you will be handing in your completed Model C canvas. And that's some of the things that we are working on today. Also, in addition to joining the Telegram group, I also want to advise you to join the Google Classroom. In the Google Classroom, you will find the materials that you need to develop your Model C canvas so that you could have a well-developed Model C canvas before the end of this program as well. Also, I want to introduce again our consultants. I have myself, Ms. Kentisha Ward, who's the National Lead Consultant, and we also have Ms. Inessa Salomo, who's also our International Incubator Consultant, and with our Icebreaker, one of our favorites, Ms. Precious Fortune Thompson, is coming up with your Icebreaker. And remember, if you have any questions or you want to answer her Icebreaker, you can answer it in the YouTube chat or in our Telegram group. So stand by for Ms. Precious Thompson.
Good. It's so exciting. Welcome to day 2. We're off to a kickstart, and tonight is going to be very good. And of course, I want you guys to participate during the night. If you have any questions, feel free to post in the Telegram group and also directly in the YouTube chat, and we will respond to you. So, kicking off with the icebreaker, I want you guys to tell me, what is your favorite board game? Now, I know a lot of people may say Monopoly, but which one you rocking with? For me, I like the game of life. The game of life has always been so interesting because it's like it gets you to choose. When you graduate, do you start college, or you go to a career, and then you could gamble on having what type of career, what type of house, how much children you can have. And so I always loved the board game life. So I want to see what board games you like. So I see Sergio is saying he like checkers. Sounds like we need a match. Let me see these other. Okay. What is your favorite board game? What about Chance? Operation. Shakara is saying Operation. I've never heard of that one, but I am going to look it up. Judith, backgammon. Sounds like I need to get my money out tonight for you, Judith. Let's see what else we have here. Dominoes. Boy, dominoes has caused a fight. I love dominoes, especially even if I lose it. My big take on dominoes is I like to slam on the table just to make myself feel good, even if I lose it. I the minute I slam, I feel as if I'm about to win, period. So Amore is saying Monopoly. I love a good game of Monopoly. Monopoly also causes fights. What else do we have here? Candyland, Michelle, Angelo, chess. What else? Let's see. Snakes and ladders. That is a really good one. I like that. Monopoly. Bingo. Don't you guys love a good game? It's not often we get to sit down and play a board game, but don't you guys, when you do have the chance, love a good board game? It just brings you back to good childhood memories, so much fun, brings out the inner child in you and the competitiveness. Oh man. Listen, I don't like to play games because I get serious. And that's my problem. It'll start off fun and then I get dead competitive. So, okay. All right. So, thank you guys for participating in our icebreaker. Tonight is going to be very informative. As Ms. Ward has mentioned, please, please, please ensure that you're in the Telegram group and also in the Google Classroom. The content is there for you to go back to it. There's so much that's going to help you in this incubator. And so I'm gonna bring Ms. Ward back onto the screen, and you guys, we look forward to an engagement and informative night.
Thank you so much once again, Precious. Always entertaining icebreakers that keep us very entertained and keep us smiling backstage. So I just want to remind you guys to look in the chat. You're going to see the attendance list. The attendance list is very, very important to fill out. At the bottom of the attendance list, you'll see a miniature evaluation form asking you a few questions about your previous class. Now, for persons who weren't able to attend the previous class, we understand that sometimes we have busy schedules. You can find the previous YouTube links in our Google Classroom. Also, after you subscribe to the Agribusiness Incubators YouTube page, you can also see the previous videos for the Bahamas and be able to catch up where you left off. Okay, so now let's do a review of the last slides. I know a lot of persons may have missed the last class, but now we're just going to do a brief review of the last slides so that we can understand exactly what the Model C Canvas is, what it's about, and what it represents for our businesses. So this is the Model C Canvas that you've seen last class, and trust me, you're going to see it every class since last class. And it has different focuses, different business focuses. So not only agricultural focuses and not only business focuses, but more of an impact focus. So today we're going to be focusing on the theory of change, which is the green section all the way to the right. And it's going to be a very, very exciting class because now we're not only going to think about our business, we're going to think beyond our business and how much impact our businesses could create for the communities around us, for persons who we may know, and even impact a certain culture or impact the way that we even do business or agriculture here locally. We're also going to see some amazing videos, just brief videos describing what the theory of change means for businesses. Okay, so some of the past questions that we had were the ideation leading questions. The first question, what type of Model C Canvas will you use? So thinking about the different type of businesses that you're going to start focusing on, or if you're already in business, maybe a different avenue to making new revenue streams for the business that you are in. Also, entering groups on the worksheet and mark the corresponding answers. Number 3, what problem or need will your business be solving? Every business solves a problem. If you were just a farmer, you were solving the problem of hunger. You were solving the problem of access to food, healthy, nutritious food. What do customers like most about your product? For many farmers or for many beekeepers, their honey is sweeter than any other honey, right? And their customers will tell them, I can't buy honey on the shelf that tastes like yours. So we know here in the Bahamas that we have some of the best quality honey. What do our products value about our honey? What do they value about our peppers? What do they value about our services that we could potentially offer them? Also, number 5, competition. Every business loves competition. What other substitutes exist that might provide the same value of your product? And that's very, very important because as farmers, we all know that if I go grow onions, everybody down the same street gonna grow onions too. So what is going to add value to our product that substitutes can provide, right? And also, how much will you be selling your product or products for? Are you going to be competing with international brands? Or are you going to be competing with lower brands? Or are you going to be working on a more economical scale? Because you know you grow in mass amounts so that you can drop your price based on volume. Also, how does your product stand out from the competitor? Now, in the agricultural industry, one of the things that have always been my interest is having farmers be able to stand out from other farmers. When we go to farmers markets, everybody has the same tomatoes, the same sweet peppers, the same onions. They even stacked the same way, right? But how can you make your product stand out from the competitor? Is it extra marketing efforts that you may do online, or you may just have a bigger, brighter sign, or you may even decide to say, well, hey, I deliver to my customers instead of my customers coming to my farm. So there are many different ways that your product or your service can stand out from your competition. But these are just a few leading questions to the Model C Canvas. These are also some of the other leading questions that Inessa went over in our previous class on Monday. What is the social and or environmental problem that we propose to solve? What are the causes of this situation? Which audience will receive the intervention strategies? Which other audiences or focuses of impact benefit from the business flow? So, not all the time that it's just the customers that may benefit from the business. Sometimes we have persons in the community who may benefit from the business. Maybe they may benefit from employment. Maybe that business may offer training classes to the community. So maybe they may benefit from training or enhancing the capacity to process. So, for example, we have certain communities. I know I grew up in Andros. I grew up in North Andros. So, therefore, I know about the onion epidemic, right? Everybody grows onions. But how can onions reach and benefit other audiences? How can we have persons processing the onions and not only just growing the onions? So, how can this impact reach other persons, not just the customer, but also the persons around us in the community? Also, what describes the social and or environmental situation positively transformed? After you've already created different avenues to process these onions, how have you changed the social dynamics or the environmental situation in your community? Also, what will your business do to now generate this impact? What are the small and big activities, the macro and micro activities that this business intends to do to actually generate impact? What are your strategies to generate impact with your business? So not only generating profit, but also looking at an angle from as generating impact. What are the measurable outputs of the interventions? What are the initial results to be produced in order to achieve the impact? And what are the intermediate results that express the changes in the audience or the dimension of the impact? Okay, so this is also a diagram of the results of the developed C model. And they should have these following characteristics. And that's what went over this last class. So I'm going to encourage you guys to go to the video of day 1 to follow up on this section. So once again, this is the Model C Canvas. I'm going to move on over to one of our videos that's going to describe the Model C Canvas in a more agricultural manner that I'm sure that you guys will all appreciate. So just give me 1 second so I can pull the video up for you. It's a video about the theory of change, about the Model C Canvas on a dairy farm. Hi, Precious. I'm not sure if we're able to see the video. Maybe we could try and reload. My apologies. We're just having some technical difficulties. I also can't hear it as well. Okay, everyone, my apologies. Just give us 1 second. We're having some technical difficulties, but I really want you to see this video because it provides so much information. So just 1 second. Okay, so in just a few more minutes, we are going to share that video. Until then, I just want to remind you guys to head on down to the Google Classroom. Make sure you are registered for the Google Classroom because that's where a lot of these materials, like these videos, will be posted. Just in case we have some sort of technical challenges, we still want to be able to give you access to the videos in the class and also outside the class. Also, the attendance link was posted. I want to remind you guys to fill that out. Okay, so the video's up. I'll give you guys some time to watch it. So just in a few. Bye-bye.
For customer segments, Nafas CC Dairy Goat will provide the base goat milk quality for the goat milk lover, for goat milk supplier, and also for expectant mother in Malaysia as the remedies in preventing jaundice in the newborn babies. In addition, our company will also provide the goat to the local meat goat farmers. Besides that, manure from the goats will be collected and supplied to vegetable farmers and also aquaculture farmers as fertilizer. Value propositions for our company are to produce safer and healthier high-quality goat milk, which also free from antibiotics residues for our valuable consumers. Then, we are also aiming to have good sustainability dairy goat farming for our own farm. In order to provide our customer and consumer with our product, we will have stainless steel milk tankers from Nafas CC Milk Processing Sendian Berhad, and this would be the main route for us to enable the delivery of our product to markets. Besides that, there is sales on farm, cash and carry for those interested to obtain product directly from the farm. Lastly, we also would use online sale via Facebook group and WhatsApp group to enable the ease of obtaining of our products. To have a good customer relationship, we at FCC would give high quality assurance of our products to satisfy our valuable customer and at the same time fresh and safe goods milk to be consumed with certification from HACCP. Besides that, we will also provide the healthy animals for the local goat farmers. Last but not least, our company will also have annual contract or consistent goat milk supply throughout the year, thus will help Malaysia to achieve higher percentage of goat's milk and meat production. To ensure a sustainable business, the revenue stream would play an important role, which we would place the goat milk price with 18 ringgit per litre, and for the price of live goat with 37 ringgit per kilogram, and lastly the manure price with 100 ringgit per 50 kilogram. To establish the business, we need the farm itself with 85 acres of farming land with fully equipped milking facilities, especially the heavy-duty milking parlor and also houses for the animals. Besides that, we also need to have napier grass plantation for the animals' feed. Then, the veterinarians on herd help, and the most important part, to have all that we need shareholders fund and bank loan to us run the business. Our key activities at the farm are mainly operation and production for producing good quality of goat milk and also sales of cull animals. The sales of manure will be our side income. As for our key partners, our company would have annual contract partner, which is Nafas CC Milk Processing Sdn Bhd for milk processing before selling off the products. Besides that, the relationship with local meat goat farmer for cull animals and vegetables and aquaculture farmers for manure, and lastly with the Department of Veterinary Services DVS Malaysia to ensure that the company would be run according to the law and also the animal production in the farm would be approved by the DVS itself before the product will be sold to the public. Last but not least, cost structure to run this company would be involved with everything, which include the administration costs involving the salaries workers, healthcare insurance, as well as training fees. Besides that, marketing costs to promote and introduce our company to the public would involve the cost for roadside banner, publicity, and miscellaneous. Lastly, operations and production costs, which include the maintenance of the buildings and equipments, utilities fee, which include electricity fee and water bill, as well as land rental fee and license renewal fee.
Okay, so thank you so much for being patient during that time with some of our technical challenges. But that's a very, very good video that outlines the entire Model C canvas. And when I first see the Model C canvas, I didn't really understand exactly what it was asking from me. I was able to watch that video and it helped me replicate things that I was doing in my own business to be able to apply it to the Model C canvas. So that link has been placed in the YouTube chat, in the Telegram chat, and also in the Google Classroom. That's why it's important to be connected to the Google Classroom and also the Telegram chat. Okie dokie. So we are going to talk a little bit more about the theory of change. Okay, so defining the theory of change is it's useful to guide our strategic thinking and action. Most of our programs, projects, businesses are active in a complex situation with many different actors, many issues, and often no planned events that happen, or often no planned events also happen. The theory of change can help you to work in that complex environment. There are three main reasons why you could be interested in starting with the theory of change for your business. It can help make a robust planning design of your intervention. It helps monitor information and the learning framework because you check the assumptions that you make and you'll be clear on what you want to achieve and what are the indicators. For many of us, when we're thinking about our business ideas and our business processes, our minds are scattered all over the place. Yes, we want to start a farm, but I want to start a farm that can grow this, and then I want to grow this, and then I want to build this here, and then I want to export. But now this business model, C Canvas, can help us centralize all of our ideas and put them in one place so that we can build upon each single idea. Also, the theory of change is helpful to think about how we scale up later. We know where we're starting now, but what is the real big vision? We're starting from maybe an acre or two of land, but how do you really envision yourself in the future and which impact do you envision yourself making? Okay, so what is the theory of change? It is basically about what we want to achieve with our businesses and the environment around us. How we think we can achieve it and why do we want to achieve it. At the end of this planning process or this pre-incubation process, most of you will be able to see a visual summary of the intervention, what is called the theory of change. On this note, let's be clear about what the project will do and also what you assume that all the actors, maybe the people who you have to interact with in your business, will commit to during the next steps. Also, this Model C Canvas and theory of change provides new types of assumptions. One main new type is cause and effect assumptions. So, how will we think about the early results? And afterwards, how are we forecasting later results? We also explore another type of assumption, which is the mindset assumption. And y'all know we from the Bahamas, so we have plenty mindset assumptions, right? Okay, so thinking about change. Some of us think that change is coming, and many of us know and have experienced that change comes through a crisis. Scientific enthusiasts know that change is coming about through research. Still, others think about changes coming about through democratization. Sorry, in every business process, the business cycle time loop is at a horizontal view or a slice across a complete business process. For example, when you think of your business idea, you have to think from the customer's first order to the point of when that product or service is delivered to the final customer. The theory of change in chain theory of change in nutrition, and also the theory of change in natural resources management. So when you're thinking of your businesses and you're thinking of the theory of change, exactly how is your business providing change? Is your fresh fruit and vegetable farm providing organic substitutes for local persons in your community so that they can eat healthier? What are you doing, or what is your business doing to enact change? So when you think in the long run, you think of your business on a larger scale. Think about the change that you see your business making, not only in profits. Okay, so finally, your team or group of partners need to be clear about the assumptions with your theory of change, how the change will be achieved, and have a joint theory of change where those assumptions are being agreeable. The theory of change can be very useful in the incubator strategic performance for you guys who are applicants. Theory of change helps you guide the aspects of local reality on which the incubator intends to act and combine efforts to produce a desired change for you guys who are the applicants. Okay, So if you've already experienced the development of any kind of proposal or business, not only for funding, you've also went through the theories of change. The theory of change phases are similar to one proposal developed and planned based on the logical framework approach. For example, the theory of change approach is primarily objective-oriented project planning. It is focused on the objectives and analyzes the situation on which we are relating, identifying the problem, defining our actions, and the end specific objectives in the terms of the long-term objective we want to be able to achieve in this entire process. The theory of change also contributes to strengthening the linkages between the actual results concerning the goals of our actions. These slides will also be on the Google Classroom if you want to take some time to read through them as well. So when talking about the theory of change, this is essentially a comprehensive description and also an illustration of how and why desired change is expected to happen in a particular context. It is focused on a particular mapping. It's actually activities and how this leads to desired goals being achieved. So, for example, you have a goal of being able to employ 3 persons within the space of 1 year in your business. Maybe it's a small farm. Now, how can you turn that into long-term goals? How can you map the activities out to achieving those 3 persons? Do you need to have a business license to be able to hire persons? I would think so. So you want to be able to map out activities to go with your goals to ultimately reach to the theory of change or the impact that you want to have. And this will happen with your Model C canvas. Also, sometimes referred to as theory of change, the theory of change documents the impact that your organization is seeking to achieve, as well as all the intermediate steps to make sure that your activities and also resources are well aligned with this said change. The theory of change should be defined before starting any new initiative or project and needs to be revised periodically, because as time goes on, your business grows or you may refocus. So the theory of change should always be revised, just like a business plan. Your business plan will continue to grow after you build it. You may find a new product, a new service, a new partner, a new connection, a new network. Okay, so next slide. So with the theory of change, let's start by discussing what makes the theory of change such a fundamental step. All of the operational decisions are focused around the theory of change. The outcome data to collect, access, and analyze, as well as the changes that need to be made to improve the effectiveness of your interventions and your strategies to get to your goals and to focus on your impact. All of this depends on your theory of change in your industry or for your business. So the key value of this framework is that it fosters accountability and also awareness about the potential challenges that your organization might face while pursuing its mission. Now, as mentioned before, the theory of change ideally needs to be defined before starting your project, business plan, or incubation process. These initiatives might have a broad scope or they might have a narrow scope. Okay, so whatever business structure you may decide to use, make sure that it's aligned with your mission of impact and you're not overcomplicating it. Even if you want to work with other businesses who may assist your business impact, it's also a good idea to do that as well. While there may be many definitions of the theory of change, most people agree that it explains a pathway through which specific results or goals can be achieved. Theories of change can be extremely detailed or they can be very, very simple, just mapping out ideas to get to where the final impact is. However, most theories of change have at least 3 major components. They are results or goals and assumptions and activities. Okay, so before we get on to the next section, I have another video to play for you just to give you a break. And you could then follow on with this video. This is a video that's explaining the theory of change for you. And once again, I just want to remind you guys to fill out the attendance list that is in the chat to the right while we play this next video. Thank you so much. Okay, it looks like we are having some more challenges with the video. So we are also going to post that video into your Telegram group. Oh, no, never mind. Now we got the video. Okay, so just give me 1 second. I'll pop back down so you can watch the video.
Do things with Often, we do things without being clear about the impact we want to have and the assumptions that underpin the activities we're doing. If we're not careful, we can be very busy doing things that don't actually create the change that we want to see. Many organizations and individuals keen to create impact in the world really struggle to make that change happen. The theory of change is a helpful tool to create milestones and targets whilst showing a logical process of how activities lead to impact. Meet Danielle, an internationally recognized expert in HIV treatment. Danielle is very active in the HIV/AIDS community. For the past few years, she has been researching the virus in Africa. She was shocked by the number of children who are still infected with HIV every day. Danielle knows there are cheap and effective ways to prevent children from contracting the virus. If only there was a way to help HIV-positive mothers to keep their children healthy. The problem is that most health centers in this part of Africa are understaffed and don't have the time to teach mothers how to keep themselves and their little ones healthy. Danielle is also aware of the stigma of HIV that causes women to live in fear and keeps them from getting the care they need. Danielle has an idea to help HIV-positive mothers through a mentoring scheme. Empowered mothers living with HIV would work in understaffed health centers as members of the healthcare team and provide health education and mental support to other HIV-positive mothers. Knowing she needs to have a clear idea about what activities are needed and how they will create impact, Danielle has come across a theory of change tool and decides to give it a try. She begins by writing down her long-term goal. At the other end of the worksheet, Danielle writes down the current issue that has triggered her to think this way. She finds it useful to take note of the assumptions she made while filling in the worksheet. She then starts working outwards from the defining problem. Danielle identifies the people that are most affected by the issue and who she hopes would help her with her work. This helps her to identify the stakeholder groups that she needs to influence to achieve her long-term goal. Danielle has identified that women are far more likely to listen to other women in their community and decides to focus her efforts on a mentoring scheme led by HIV-positive mothers. Thinking about what she wants to achieve, Danielle writes down some practical steps that she can take to make change happen. What would the immediate result be? Danielle thinks of outputs that would help her see if her idea is working and show other people that what she's doing is starting to make a difference. Lastly, Danielle lists the key outcomes that her activity would lead to. These are the preconditions she needs to realize her goal. The theory of change template helped Danielle map out the logical sequence of her initiative, from its inputs to its outcomes, all on one page. Danielle can see all the possible steps she could take to bring her idea to life. She is also aware of all the assumptions that she needs to test along the way. And it can work the same for small projects and for senior executives attempting large organizational change. So if you have an idea for change, why not try to map out your way to impact?
Okay, awesome. So I hope that was a good video for you. That video was actually posted onto your VLE as well. So not your VLE, onto the Google Classroom as well, so that you could go, that you could also find it and also play it back as well. Very, very informative video, I must tell you. So the next slide is going to tell us a little bit more about the questions that the theory of change begs to ask, right? So we have the first question. And the first question is, with your business, what is the problem that you're trying to solve? For many of us, we didn't just get into business. We didn't just start farming. We didn't start fishing. We didn't start processing, and we didn't start the agricultural services that we're now performing. We wanted to solve a problem. We may have decided to start farming because we were tired of spending money in the food stores for imported goods. We may have started farming because we were raised on farming, so it's some of our values, it's our history. But think about the problem that you are solving with your business or that you are trying to solve. Do you want to be able to provide healthy goods to local persons? Or do you realize that there's a lack of access to Bahamian products on an international scale? Do you realize that local schools don't have access to nutritious goods? So what problem exactly are you trying to solve? Also, who is your key audience? Who is your problem focusing on? Also, what is your entry point for reaching your key audience? How are you going to reach your market? How are you going to reach the people who need to hear about the services that you offer? We all know about the farmers markets. We all know about maybe going to the grocery store and saying, hey, do you want to buy this sack of onions or buy these potatoes? But do you have a real plan of reaching your audience? Who is your audience? Where are they? Do you know how you're going to get to them? So these are some of the questions that you want to think about. Also, what steps are needed to bring about change? Now, one thing I can tell you about Bahamas, we know what need to change. Now, we may not be able to define how to change it, but we know what needs to change. So being able to think about what steps do we as businesses need to take to bring about change, and maybe the business that we do, the industry that we do, or maybe even the communities, while still making profit. Also, what is the measurable effect of your work? What are the wider benefits of your work? What is the long-term change you see as your goal? And even as simple as the business may be, you have wider benefits of your work and of your business. For myself, I started my business with just a simple popsicle company, and cup and baggy, and we all know about it. And since the beginning, I always looked at the impact of my business. I didn't just want to sell cup and baggy. I wanted to use fresh fruits to be able to make these frozen experiences. So when persons came to me and they said, well, how can I benefit from your product? I had so many different ways to offer them benefits and to also list them. So what are the wider benefits of not only your product, but also to the persons and the community around you as well? Can you employ persons to assist you? Or can you teach them or train them? Okay, so the next slide. Okay, so when we discuss theories of change, we often talk about business level theories of change. However, organizations can also have theories of change for their larger institutional strategies and also goals. The basic structure and process for defining projects and business level theories of change is the same. The main differences are in the terms of the magnitude and also complexity. For an organization theory of change, oftentimes the types of results that are being defined are larger scale and longer term. Organization level theories of change are often more complex than those that are at project level, and they cover a full set of activities for an organization. On the other hand, project level theories of change generally define more specific and concrete results. Okay, so the most important thing about defining a theory of change is that for any goal, you have a result that you want to achieve. So you know with your business, you know which results you want to achieve. You know which results your family and friends want you to achieve, but what's most important is what you want to achieve and what is really possible. And it should be possible to be able to design a theory of change for your business as well. So creating a good theory of change is quite challenging. When I first heard of the theory of change concept, it gave me the opportunity to stop thinking about just my business. But how can I think about how my business affects the world around me? It often takes several tries. And as mentioned earlier, a good theory of change is a living document that changes with the business. And as the context and assumptions may change, but for those creating a theory of change for the first time, there are 3 basic steps that you can take into account that you could actually start with having results. So these basic, sorry, give me 1 second. And they actually start with the results. Yes. So the theory of change, it doesn't start with what you're going to do first. It starts with the results you want to be able to see and actually working backwards. So you want to have a business, you see your big business. Now, what steps are we going to take backwards, working back from the big building to where we are now so that we could define the steps that we need to take to get to that big business? Also, how can you implement the theory of change steps? I know for many of us, they may sound like Japanese or Chinese, but if you want to practice or you want to try your own theory of change, the best thing to do is to select a business and begin working through these steps. So this may be a business that may not be yours, but I recommend that it is yours so you can get the experience. Or select a business that you may be familiar with and go through the steps outlined in the slide and start finding results. You can also go online and you could Google different types of Model C Canvas and theory of change steps so that you could get more familiar with the material. Finally, a theory of change is only as useful as the amount that you actually use it. A simple theory of change often takes the form of a linear pathway with results defined on one side and activities on the other end. The assumptions of how or the how are in the middle of defining a pathway from activities to results. The activities and assumptions in the theory of change are often not linear. Okay, so a few things stand out about the theory of change. Sometimes there are multiple results, such as knowledge of what works and what's healthy. And when you're more confident, you're able to produce better results. Also, activities may lead to different steps, at the same time represented by different arrows that are going from a single activity to multiple assumptions or outcome in your theory of change or Model C Canvas. Real pathways to change are extremely complex. And in the agricultural industry, we know that. Just a simple challenge as not being able to have boxes can be extremely complex for someone who doesn't understand the agricultural industry. It may be helpful to start with a simpler theory of change. Theories of change can be extremely useful tools for projects even when they're not required to be a part of the project. Theories of change can also help you to articulate things that you need to know for a project or for your business, especially if you're in the ideation process. Many persons say, hey, I want to start a business. I have an idea. But when you start to think about planning out your idea, we don't really have all the information. So the theory of change is giving you that opportunity to be able to look at a wide scope and put the puzzle pieces together to get that idea together. Okay, so most organizations think about these things anyway, but the theories of change provides useful structure to think through them. As discussed, there are 3 major components to a theory of change. The first part of the theory of change is the results or goal. While you can define more than one result for your theory of change, it's often easiest to start with the single result. It's helpful to think of results as you may think of goals or objectives. The smarter you can make them, the better. The SMART result should be specific, it should be measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. Now, if any of you had the opportunity to go into a business planning class of any sort, you would have heard about some of the SMART goals. I've taught at BTVI for an extensive amount of time, and one thing I teach to my students is being able to form SMART goals. And that's one, making sure these goals are specific, making sure they're measurable, making sure they're achievable. So making sure that that target is realistic. And you're not just saying, hey, I want to be the queen of farming in England, but you know you live right here in Freeport with no desire to go to England. So make sure it's achievable and realistic. Also, make sure it's relevant. The required performance linked to the achievement of the goal. Also, make sure it's time bound. Don't just say I want to be the largest pepper farmer in Grand Bahama and just leave it open. Make sure you say I want to have this amount of acres in pepper growing by this amount of time. So it gives you enough push and enough energy to work towards your goal to fit within that specific time. Okay, so the second part of the theory of change is the assumptions or immediate steps. These are the steps that must happen for the result to be achieved. But the things that are not under direct control, there may also be different layers or levels of assumption. In each case, assumptions can be matched with these activities. These are direct things that you can undertake to make sure that the assumptions and the immediate steps hold true. So after the assumptions or immediate steps, the theory of change should outline the activities that the organization will undertake. These should be linked to the assumptions and should be designed directly to try to address that. Okay, so to conduct or develop the theory of change, you will need to define the results. Like I say, we want to start from the results, start from the big picture. When I first thought of my popsicle company, as small as it may be, I didn't think of it just as a company that was selling on the side of the road. I had already seen the contracts at Bahamas, at Atlantis. I already had seen my popsicles in containers on boats going to Walmart. So think about the results that you want to achieve with your business first. What is it that you are really, really trying to achieve? You will need to define these activities and also the strategies that go along with these activities. Looking over the course of the project or the initiative, and also what are all the things that you need to be able to achieve those results. So yes, you need to achieve results, but also think about the things, the supplies, the knowledge, the partners, the resources that you are going to need to be able to achieve those results. Okay, so you'll also need to define the assumptions. What are the other things that need to happen? The things that are outside of your control in order for the results to be achieved. And are these assumptions realistic? A theory of change also requires you to consider your contacts. What are the outside factors that make and guide decisions regarding activities, assumptions, or even results? The theory of change is also useful as a living document. Many organizations make the mistake of creating a theory of change and then never ever revisiting it. And as a person who works as a business planning consultant, I see many businesses that do that as well. Like they create a business plan, but they never go back to it. But their business lacks to grow as well. So you want to be able to go and look at the theory of change and continue to work on it because it is a living document. Okay, it is also useful to consider making changes in the project by reviewing your theory of change. What are the new assumptions or the assumptions that you had originally defined, but are now proving not to be valid? When many of us start our businesses, we had many assumptions. After a year or two in the business, we could laugh at the assumptions we had when we first had the idea. Okay, so we want to start writing down some of those assumptions as well. Also, back to our contacts. They help you decide what activities are best suited for the environment in which you are working for. For example, holding individual meetings with these active versus holding a large launch event for the public. There's no hard rule about the number of activities for each assumption. Similarly, if you are monitoring or evaluating a project that you're working on and you find one of the activities that you plan to undertake that is not actually working, use that evaluation or use that to monitor results. Don't worry, guys, we are almost done. Okay, a theory of change model is more effective if it is the result of a participatory process that involves as a wide range of stakeholders are involved or are practical. The theory of change is really challenging to develop into design. And the important thing is that when you realize the parts of your theory of change of not working, to be able to go back and revise them. As entrepreneurs, farmers, business owners, fishermen, we realize that if we plant a seed and it doesn't grow, we know it may be something that we didn't do right. We also know if we keep on throwing this line in the water and then something and we ain't getting no bite, that means something isn't right. We have to revise our strategy. Also, this enhances accountability, and promotes a greater sense of ownership, and hence increases the likelihood of achieving the desired results. Last but not least, recommendation for all of you. If at any moment you notice yourself stopped in the process because you feel like the theory of change or the Model C canvas is something that I don't understand, or I don't understand this whole Google platform or Telegram, at any time during this session or these training sessions, feel free to reach out to us. Let us know that you're having challenges. We have mentors who are here to work with you to help you develop your Model C canvas and also to help you pick your brain and help you get some ideas out that you never even knew existed. So feel free to reach out to us. Like I say, once again, if you have any questions via Telegram, via the Google Classroom, or even our email address, which is the Bahamas Incubator at gmail.com. I'm going to post some of those links. Okay, they're coming on the screen right now. And also, you can give us a call at 821-0416 to be able to assist you. As of that, that will end our session for today. But I want to remind you guys once again to fill out the attendance for today. Also to visit the Google Classroom, because outside of this PowerPoint, we have a lot more material focusing on the theory of change that can help you guide the theory of change for your business model canvas. Now, the business model canvas that you guys see on the screen now, this is on the Google Classroom. This is something that you would have to complete to be able to go through our selection process. At the end of the month in February, you would realize that that's our last class. After that class, we'll go through a selection process of all the beneficiaries so that a selected portion can go on to the incubation process, where their businesses will be incubated for funding. So a key portion of this training is to be able to fill this out. So I want you guys to refer to the Google Classroom. All of the information, we have podcasts, we have videos, we have PDF books, everything is on the Google Classroom that will be able to assist you in filling this out based on your agricultural business. Once again, if you have any questions, send us a message. Other than that, I think that is it for tonight. And I thank you guys once again for attending day 2 of the pre-incubation process of the Agribusiness Incubator, focusing on the ideation of agricultural businesses of women and youth on the islands of Abaco and Grand Bahama. And this session and this program is brought to you by the Ministry of Agriculture along with the United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization. Thank you so much, everybody, and I pray you all have a wonderful night.